Hello and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Criterion. And in this edition we take a look at a new Janus Contemporary title directed by the French director Breillat, starring Lea Drucker and Olivier Rabourdin. Last Summer. Janus Contemporaries released Blu-ray and DVD editions of first-run films, fresh from theatres in association with the Criterion channel. Breillat was born in Brézure, Deux-Sèvres, and she decided to become a writer after she saw Ingmar Bergman's Sawdust and Tinsel at the age of 12. Now, she believed she had found her fictional body in Harriet Andersson's character in that film, Anna. Catherine is mainly known for films focusing mainly on sexuality, intimacy, gender conflict and sibling rivalry. Now, she has an interesting body of work, including, of course, Fat Girl from 2001. That's already in the Criterion collection. But more recently, her 2009 film Bluebeard and a later film Abuse of Weakness, which is based on her own book. And of course, in 2023, she released L'été dernier, or Last Summer. Now, it's based on the 2019 Danish film Queen of Hearts. Last Summer is a French erotic drama with a screenplay by Breillat, being a remake of that Danish film. It stars Lea Drucker and Samuel Kircher and explores the taboos of a stepmother-stepson relationship. Anne is a respected lawyer, and she lives in Paris with her husband Pierre and their two young daughters, Tues, Pierre's 17-year-old son from a previous marriage. He moves in and Anne eventually begins an affair with him. In doing so, she risks jeopardizing her career and losing her family. Now, Tues is a fragile figure, and as time passes, the relationship turns destructive. Taboo French dramas can still conjure up the image of old-school art house cinema, promising forbidden pleasures. But Breillat is a sharp-eyed veteran of provocation with a purpose. She's spent decades revamping how movies portray sex, love and power, and the complicated attractions between men and women. Now, Last Summer shows us Anne, an incredibly nuanced, frankly Oscar-worthy performance given here by Lea Drucker, and gives us not highbrow titillation, but instead one woman in full. Now, though its themes and taboos are anything but simple, the plot of Last Summer is a relatively straightforward one. The film follows Anne, Lea Drucker, a lawyer who advocates for children and assault victims, something that becomes rather ironic when her rebellious teenage stepson, Tues, played in the film by Samuel Kircher, comes to stay with her. Her husband, Pierre, played by Olivier Rabourdin, and their two young adopted daughters, Serena Hu, and Angela Hu. Now, Anne and Tues' relationship starts innocently enough. Pierre is rather harsh on Tues, referring to him as mean and bemoaning the fact he gets in fights and plays video games all day. Anne, on the other hand, has a soft spot for him, particularly due to the fact he's so sweet to her young daughters. Now, at first it seems nothing short of maternal, but as the film develops and the two begin spending more time together, there's a forbidden attraction blooming, and it culminates in a full-blown affair that could blow up everything. But it's the aftermath of the inevitable explosion that's the most riveting part, and something to which director Breillat thankfully devotes a good portion of the film's time. In Last Summer, Breillat purposefully uses distance and detachment as a tool, and the intimate scenes are shot with agonizing closeness, forcing you to bear witness to something you know is wrong in excruciating detail, but the rest is restrained and objectively presented. There's a sense of humanity to each of these characters, but there's also a hollowness, an empty hole everyone is trying to fill in all the wrong ways. Now, while the colour, there's a clinical nature to everything that makes it feel cold. It's an interesting approach on paper, but in execution, it contributes to the tediousness of watching it all unfold. There has been no shortage of films about age gap relationships, of course, of late, especially with varying degrees of controversy. We've got Todd Haynes' May December, for instance, as well as Paul Thomas Anderson's Licorice Pizza and Luca Guadagnino's Call Me By Your Name. But Last Summer has elements of all of these. Now, this is mainly due to Drucker's excellent performance in the film, which I think has shades of Cate Blanchett, commanding control and sneaky duplicitousness. And Drucker plays Anne with extreme confidence when it comes to her career. The first scene, for instance, when she's talking to a young, trembling rape victim, she makes it clear that she's a masterful lawyer, though she's also a no-nonsense one, not hesitating to lay out the facts as they are or do the right thing, no matter how ugly or unpleasant these truths or actions may be. Now, there's no doubt that justice is the most important thing to Anne in this aspect of her life. Her personal life, however, is another story. She is floundering to find her place in the world and her identity itself, and Drucker does a phenomenal job of showing Anne's youth begging to break free, a youth that she wanted to rid herself of too young, as evidenced by her monologue that she gives about being in love with her mother's friend at 14. One of the strongest scenes sees Drucker nervously buttering toast while she's talking to her husband, Pierre. Theo is just pacing around and eavesdropping just beyond. It's when these two worlds combine that the film becomes most compelling. Anne is a tragic, floundering protagonist, but she's also a dangerous one. She's not a simple black and white villain, though, but she is undoubtedly terrifying. Drucker's ability to be coolly menacing, using just logic and composure as her tools, is impressive. Kircher is equally impressive, with Theo acting as both a parallel to Anne and a foil to her. And like Anne, he's trying to grow up too quickly as well. But he soon finds the consequences of embracing adulthood this young and in this way will have devastating repercussions for him. But while Anne is polished on the outside with the darkness simmering under the surface, Theo has a tough persona with a gentle innocence underneath, evident when he plays with his younger siblings and when he gives Anne a tattoo. Another highlight of the movie. Now, his optimism and naivety and the fact that everyone in his life has failed him in some way is simply heartbreaking. If anything, Last Summer is more commercial looking as a film and less shocking than much of her other work. But her eye and her insights are sharp, and her story bespeaks an iron-willed mind that won't quit. She's now 75. She soldiered on after a stroke in 2004 that left her partly paralysed and contributed to the 10-year gap in her filmography. Last Summer comes on Blu-ray, and it has a running time of 104 minutes and has a Meet the Filmmakers feature and a trailer. It's available via the Criterion collection from Tuesday, the 18th of February. Next time on Let's Talk Criterion, we will take a look at Performance. It comes new to the collection in 4K UHD with a magnetic film performance from Mick Jagger, and it's directed by Donald Cammell and Nicholas Roeg. So, until next time, from me, as always, it's goodbye, and above all, good Criterion viewing.